Brought to you by Raising the Vibe, a nonprofit organization supporting the growth of conscious communities.
So welcome everyone. I'm Rebecca Parris, and I'm the Executive Director and founder of Raising the Vibe. We are a 501c3 nonprofit that's been around for a couple years now, maybe 2.5. And our mission is really to be a connection hub for expanding consciousness. So we're bringing you free Zoom programming every month to open your perceptions to all different sorts of things. And one of the things that's been top on my list is really understanding heart coherence. There's a lot of science behind the connection between the mental and the emotional and the brain and the heart, and really where coherence is coming from and really what creates our reality so we can all raise the vibe. I'm happy to present our speaker today. I've known Tricia Livermore just, I guess, since April, and it's just wonderful how the serendipities work. Somebody sent her our video. Robert and I did a video, I guess in February, around how identities keep you trapped in the matrix, and she saw it. She connected in with me. But we also had another mutual friend connection through LinkedIn. So we got together and hit it off, and she was telling me that she was certified as a Heartmath professional. So I thought that was a wonderful opportunity to bring that to you today, because it is so much in vogue right now, really understanding our intuitive side versus our logic mind. So with that, I'd like to introduce Tricia. She's going to spend about a half an hour going through a little presentation. She's also going to do a couple exercises with you. So if you have any questions, you can go ahead and put them in the chat, and we can actually bring you on to a recording. Like, we can unmute you at the end so you can actually ask the question in person, or you can put it in the chat. So with that, I'd love to introduce Tricia, and she's going to tell you about herself and introduce Heartmath. So there you have it. Thanks, Tricia.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. I really appreciate that. I know I love the serendipity of how we synchronize through the universe of how we met, and I find those things so much fun to do that. So before I go into Heartmath, I just want to give you a little bit of backstory on me. A few years ago, I was working in corporate America and really unhappy in life in general. It worked out really well that I was laid off and I got divorced at the same time. Really, turned my whole life upside down, and spent, quite a bit of time healing, reflecting, really finding out who I was. And along the way, I found Heartmath as another tool that I could use in really managing my emotions. That was really my goal, is how do I really control and manage my emotions? And what I noticed is how simple it was and how quickly it was. And I was super intrigued by that. I had started a business coaching practice a year ago called Soul Business Advisor. And once I became certified in Heartmath, I'm now pivoting that. I've been pivoting that into heart transformational coaching. And it's been the best thing for me in how to build up my own resiliency and managing my emotions and really having an impact to those that I serve. So thanks so much for joining today. Everything I'm going to cover comes from the book Heart Intelligence: Connecting with the Intuitive Guidance of the Heart by Doc Childrey, Howard Martin, Deborah Rosman, and Roland McCready. You can find this on heartmath.org. I'll be talking about what is Heartmath, heart coherence, like Rebecca mentioned, social coherence, raising our vibe, and the different types of intuition. We will also practice a couple of techniques. So let's get started. Heartmath is a system for awakening and developing our heart's intelligence. It includes heart-based tools designed to help people connect with their heart's intuitive guidance, and unlock the potential of who they really are. Many people want to trust their hearts more, but often don't know the difference between what their heart is saying and their mental or emotional biases. Heartmath's scientific research reveals new understandings about the heart, emotions, and mind, which make it easier for people to accept and apply what they already intuitively know and feel. The heart is an information processing center that sends important information throughout the body and can have profound influences on our brain. In the lab, researchers started looking at the physiological connection between the emotional state, the heart, and the brain. They found that a measurement called heart rate variability was reflective of people's emotional states, and that heart rate variability offers a unique window into communication between the heart, brain, and emotions. Over the years, Heartmath Research Lab became one of the leading authorities in this field. As people practiced Heartmath methods, there were significant results in lowered stress levels, improved health, reduced health costs, improved test scores, and heightened abilities to sustain positive emotional states. Many people know what it feels like to be in a state of harmony, where heart and mind are working in sync, and we feel a genuine connection with others. Who doesn't want that? It's easy to love this experience of inner harmony, but often times it happens by chance rather than by design or intention. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to produce this alignment on demand in day-to-day communications and working on projects? So, what empowers our ability to create more balance and harmony in ourselves, our relationships, our work, and in how we handle our daily challenges? Through 20 years at the Heartmath Institute, identified a core element, a physiological state they call heart coherence, that supports a balanced partnership in the interactions between heart, mind, emotions, and physiology. So to help demystify the term coherence, let's just do a simple analogy. Imagine being in a meditation or prayer and being constantly interrupted by thoughts, feelings, worries, moods, or even good ideas, all of which can disrupt and scatter focus and effectiveness of our intentions. This creates a type of internal incoherence or noise. On the other hand, increasing our internal coherence during a prayer meditation helps us sustain and maintain a genuine, heartfelt focus, which translates into increased intuitive guidance and personal effectiveness. Getting into this state of coherence helps to align and coordinate our thoughts and emotions with our heart's intelligence so that mixed signals don't scramble our minds. Incoherence is like static radio station. And we're listening to, and whereas internal coherence better tunes us in to the station and we get a much clearer signal. Physiological coherence refers to a specific state that reflects increased harmony and synchronization between the heart and the two branches of the brain's autonomic nervous system. This shift happens from the incoherent sympathetic nervous system, most people know it as fight or flight, towards the increased coherent parasympathetic nervous system, also known as rest and digest. This physiological state is referred to as heart coherence because heart is a key instigator of this state and is associated with increased emotional balance, stability, access to intuition, and improved mental functions like greater memory, coordination, and so on. Who doesn't want that? Heart coherence is measured using heart rate variability analysis. So let me explain how this works. We all know that heart rate refers to how many times the heart beats in a minute. It's measured by beats per minute. Heart rate variability refers to naturally occurring variations in the time between each and every pair of heartbeats. It is this beat-to-beat variation that creates repeating patterns in the heart's rhythms. Much of this naturally occurring variability is created because our heart and brain are communicating with each other through the autonomic nervous system. Research found that when people are feeling sincere regenerative emotions, such as love, appreciation, and compassion, the heart rhythm pattern naturally became more coherent. On the other hand, when they were experiencing stressful emotions, such as anxiety, anger, fear, or worry, an incoherent heart rhythm pattern was generated. Have you ever noticed when you are emotionally upset that you have an increased tendency to say or do something you later regret? I know I used to be in that category. That's because feelings like anxiety, worry, and fear create a type of incoherence in that nervous system, resulting in what's called cortical inhibition, where our reactions and resulting words or actions may create stress, energy drain, and time waste. In other words, we lose our ability of foresight as our higher mental functions are taken offline, as we are operating from the sympathetic nervous system, also known as fight or flight. I always thought stress, when I thought of stress and cortisol, I always thought of like high stress moments, preparing for a meeting like this, or an argument, things like that, where I always thought of stress as something that was really worrisome. But what I learned through Heartmath is stress can be grief, it can be anxiety, it can be sadness. So those cortical inhibitions are really the aspects that we want to shift from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic to get into that greater coherence. A growing number of research studies have shown that we can take charge of how we respond moment to moment. This is what I love about Heartmath. We can learn to better self-regulate our thoughts and emotions, which reduces and prevents many stress-producing reactions. We can do this by learning how to intentionally shift into the state of heart coherence right in the heat of the moment. This creates alignment between the heart and brain, resulting in cortical facilitation, which increases our higher order capacity for mental clarity and intuitive discernment, also known as heart intelligence. Increasing our heart rhythm coherence also increases emotional flexibility and adaptability, memory, and our ability to focus and concentrate. As we gain more skill in self-regulating our mental and emotional energy responses, we can increase our resilience and can relatively quickly improve our health and well-being, as this puts us in the parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest. A simple self-regulation technique that can be used to increase heart rhythm coherence is called the quick coherence technique. Many people report how effective this 1 minute heart-focused breathing and emotion shifting technique has been for them in quickly recouping from challenging situations. What I love about this technique is you can do this no matter where you are or what you're doing. So let's try it now. You can do this with your eyes open or shut. And if you want, you can put your hand on your heart for greater heart connection. So focus your attention in the area of the heart. Imagine your breath is flowing in and out of your heart or chest area, breathing a little slower and deeper than usual. Find an easy rhythm that's comfortable. As you continue heart-focused breathing, make a sincere attempt to experience a regenerative feeling, such as appreciation or care for someone or something in your life. One more deep breath in. I don't know about you, but I feel better. I'd like you to just put a word in the chat or a phrase on how that made you feel. Take a moment. How did you feel? Put that in the chat. What I love, oh, grounded. Yes, grounded. I love that. What I love about this technique is how quickly we can adjust our state of being. Blissful, revitalized. Yes. Even the smallest shift occurred in less than a minute. I use this specific method when I'm driving because I have a lead foot, so I get really impatient. And whenever I'm in line, like, grocery store or wherever there's a really long line, I use this method all the time to either shift into coherence or to stay into coherence, which radiates out to the people around me. So thanks for sharing some of those, how that made you feel. Love that. And we've got another technique at the end as well. When we practice these techniques frequently, we create a new baseline of our emotional state. We can learn to sustain coherence for longer periods, such as during meditations, to more quickly establish a healthier new pattern. This creates a new inner reference or set point that replaces the old, ineffective emotional pattern. Without establishing a new baseline, it's nearly impossible to sustain a desired psychological or behavioral change. Increasing the coherent alignment between our heart, mind, and emotions strengthens our capacity to change ineffective behaviors and habits that have been holding us back from accessing our higher potentials and becoming who we truly are. So this next section is, for the science-y people. There's a direct neural pathway from the heart to a key brain center involved in processing emotions called the amygdala. In fact, the cells at the core of the amygdala synchronize to the heartbeat. In other words, the heart rhythm pattern is informing the amygdala with important information that helps determine our emotional state. Incoherent heart rhythms can be interpreted by the amygdala as anger, anxiety, or another stressful feeling, while coherent rhythms are interpreted by the amygdala as everything is okay. However, for this process to work, the amygdala needs a baseline or reference to compare the heart's incoming signals to. For example, if you're anxious a lot, then anxiety can become a familiar pattern. It's a baseline, and that will feel normal to you. This is how a stress habit is created. Familiar and unproductive emotional patterns, such as quick trigger reactions, getting angry, being anxious, blaming, even irritability, can be reprogrammed as we practice getting in a heart coherent state. This state allows for increased acceptance of new and beneficial patterns through conscious intention. This is because of the harmonious alignment that coherence creates between the heart, mind, emotions, and body. When we sit quietly in a heart coherent state, it can at times seem like not much is going on. Yet from a physiological view, a lot is going on. When you're in a coherent state, your nervous system is more aligned, your hormonal and immune systems are getting rebalanced, and your mind and emotions are connecting with more of your spirit. All of this internal realignment increases resilience throughout your system. As we increase our personal heart coherence baseline, it also benefits our families, coworkers, friends, and more. From Heartmath research, heart coherence is not an idle state. It reaches out, influences, and supports others in many beneficial ways and expands into social coherence. Heartmath researchers discovered in 1996 that when an individual is in a state of heart rhythm coherence, the heart radiates a more coherent electromagnetic signal into the environment that can be detected by the nervous system of other people and even animals. It wasn't surprising to learn that the heart generates the strongest magnetic field in the body, approximately 100 times stronger than that produced by the brain. This field can be detected several feet from the body with sensitive magnetometers. The heart's electromagnetic field provides a plausible mechanism for how we can feel or sense another person's presence and emotional state, independent of body language or other factors. It also provided evidence of heart rhythm synchronization between people or social coherence. The world needs as much care and compassion as it can get. What if we could collectively put out enough radiant love into the earth's energetic that it would create a multiplier effect or quantum coherence effect? What really take to shift the consciousness of humanity? I'm getting a notice that my internet connection is unstable, so I apologize for that. Research findings have shown that as we practice coherence and radiate love and compassion, our heart generates a coherent electromagnetic wave into the local field environment that facilitates social coherence, whether in the home, workplace, classroom, or sitting around a table. As more individuals radiate heart coherence, it builds an energetic field that makes it easier for others to connect with their heart. So theoretically, it is possible that enough people building individual and social coherence could actually contribute to an unfolding global coherence. Isn't that what we all want? Every day, we process countless frequencies through our mind, brain, and heart, such as thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Many people assume the terms frequency and vibration are only metaphoric expressions. Yet, many others intuitively realize that our thoughts, feelings, emotions, and intentions are energetic frequencies influenced by beliefs, memories, choices, environmental stimuli, and more. Sometimes we operate in a higher vibration, sometimes a lower one. It varies throughout the day, week, or month, depending on how well we manage our energy in response with life, others, or even within ourselves. At times, radical frequency shifts in our moods and perceptions cause us to feel like we are two different people in the same body. I can have that in the same morning. I don't know about you. Our behaviors and responses can become significantly different depending on the frequency of our disposition, higher, lower, or bouncing in between. In our higher vibration, we don't have to try to be positive because uplifting feelings and thoughts automatically flow through our system. Our heart energy is more present, which increases our authentic connection with others. In a lower vibration, we tend to allow negative thoughts and feelings the license to roam and feed from our life force. As we feed them life, they are inclined to run our life. We can learn to consciously intervene and reset our vibration to a higher frequency throughout the day to engage more with whatever comes up. Most of us have been in situations where we felt in our heart the best choice, but instead gave into our mind's fears or desires. Later, we had to backtrack and clear up the problems that resulted. Have you ever made a choice from your mind's fears and desires and ignored the best choice coming from your heart? I know I have. Do you want more consistent alignment between your choices and your heart's knowing? The lack of alignment between what our mind says and what our intuitive heart is quietly trying to tell us can be one of the biggest unrecognized sources of stress. It's like being pulled in two different directions. With practice, accessing intuition can become integrated into choices and decisions of our daily lives. Through our intuition, there's actually three types: energetic sensitivity, non-local intuition, and practical intuition. Energetic sensitivity refers to the ability of our body and nervous system to detect electromagnetic and other types of energetic signals in the environment. Research was able to show that information related to our emotional state is encoded in the magnetic field radiated by the heart. In essence, what this means is that a subtle yet influential electromagnetic or energetic communication system operates just below our conscious awareness. This communication system energetically connects us to others and helps explain how we can feel or sense another person's presence or their emotional state before having any cues from their body language or tone of voice. Yet another example of this type of intuition is people who are sensitive to changes in the Earth's magnetic fields, many of whom experience more anxiety, increased fatigue, or mental confusion during solar or magnetic storms. In fact, the data from Heartmath research suggests that we are all affected to varying degrees by the changing rhythms in the Earth's magnetic fields. The term energetic systems refer to the functions we cannot directly measure, touch, or see, such as our emotions, thoughts, and intuitions. One of the most frequent comments from people who have been practicing Heartmath technique for a while is that their intuition has noticeably increased. They also report experiencing an increased number of synchronicities, like Rebecca mentioned. This type of intuition is called non-local intuition because it transcends the usual limits of time and space. A common story of non-local intuition is where people spontaneously remember or start thinking about a friend from the past whom they haven't talked to. And all of a sudden, shortly after thinking about the person, the phone rings. And sure enough, that person is calling them. How many times does this happen to you? I know it's happened to me. I can't count how many times where I'm thinking about somebody and the phone rings. That's non-local intuition. Practical intuition is the practice of building our intuitive connection to our higher capacities and can be truly transformational. It enables us to access a source of higher information that streams into our brain and mind via our energetic heart to form our moment-to-moment perceptions. This type of intuition is where we are more conscious and intuitive at choice points and thus get to choose our actions and reactions rather than mechanically respond in the same old stress-producing behavior patterns. Heartmath sees this as the most important function of intuition. In order for the intuition to grow from within, you have to practice opening and connecting with the heart regularly. Now let's try the heart lock-in technique. This is the last technique that I'll be sharing today to generate a heart coherent state, which you can practice to build your intuitive connection. Opening your heart, practicing more heart connection with people, and listening from the heart draws in more intuition. Having self-compassion, self-forgiveness, and compassion, forgiveness, and appreciation for others draws in intuition. The heart's intuition includes care for the wholeness of a situation. As we did with the last technique, you can have your eyes open or shut and can put your hand on your heart for a deeper connection. Now, focus your attention in the area of the heart. Imagine your breath is flowing in and out of your heart or chest area, breathing a little slower and deeper than usual. Find an easy rhythm that's comfortable. Activate and sustain regenerative feeling such as appreciation, care, or compassion. Now radiate that renewing feeling to yourself and to others on this call. Take one more breath. I love that feeling of being able to radiate out. The benefits of Heartmath allow us greater emotional self-regulation, stronger intuition, and really help to ease those around us when we radiate love outward. And for anyone who's really into the science of how to get feedback, receive feedback on coherence, Heartmath has developed a portable heart rhythm monitoring and feedback system that enables a physiological coherence to be objectively monitored and quantified. It's known as the EM Wave Pro or EM Wave 2 and the Inner Balancer Trainer. These interactive systems monitor and display individuals' heart rate variability patterns in real time as they practice the self-regulation techniques. You can find them on heartmath.org. I use the Inner Balance Trainer. It goes right on your ear and you turn it on through an app on your phone. I use that when I'm in meditation to see how coherent I am. So I'd love to hear now from those of you on how that heart lock-in and quick coherence felt for you. And you can unmute yourself or raise your hand if you'd like to share. Body warming, nice. Yeah, any other feelings? Well, I really appreciate sharing Heartmath today. Made me smile and grateful. Nice. Great. And if you'd like help in practicing this, I have a coaching program if you're interested in. You can find me on LinkedIn or email me. I can share my contact information as well. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have about Heartmath or practicing these techniques.
Thank you, Tricia. That was amazing. I really felt a difference when I connected in, and especially when you said connect into the people on this call, and all of a sudden I got this wave of just a whole other feeling. It's like we were all together, and it felt awesome. And I see that you've shared your contact information. Well, I just wanted to spend a few minutes just kind of having an open discussion with anybody who wants to join in. And Robert, if you want to unmute and we can have a conversation, any of the people that are on who are attending as well. But I want to really talk about the whole reaction, like when you have a reaction to something versus a response. And that's how I would categorize it. When it's that there's so many people that are on autopilot, which is there's just like, it's almost that they go to the brain and it's before they even have a chance to think about it, they're already responding. And a lot of times I think of that as responding in anger or just a quick response and a defensive response. But when you're using heart, like really connecting in, I always want to say, when you take that pause, then you can actually respond with just a more coherence than a reaction. And I wanted to see if you want to say anything about that, and then more the autopilot versus the deeper connection.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what I really loved and drew me into Heartmath, is because one of the things I really wanted to manage and control was my reactions, my responses to people. At my highest stress level, I would get really irritable a lot, right? And so when you come home, you're irritable with your family and you respond and or you react, right? And I didn't like how it made me feel. I really didn't like that at all. And so when I started practicing Heartmath, it's really super helpful when you can practice it even when you're not in those moments, because then when you get into those moments, you have this tool, you have this technique like, oh, I can do my quick coherence technique right now. And so that way I can get some oxygen in my system. I can take a breath. I don't have to react I can really just connect with myself and respond. So that way I can have greater patience, calm, or ease. And so the more you practice that, the more it just becomes this automatic response that you create. And that's where the baseline shift happens, right? So when you notice your baseline is you're constantly reacting, and then over time, as you practice this, your baseline response shifts into this new intuitive, heart-focused manner, and that heart coherence.
Yeah. Perfect. And it actually just a minute. It actually changes the chemistry in your body. Yep. Once you start, it's like, oh, I see, we're calm now. We don't have to be in fight flight anymore. And slowly your whole body just changes where you can just be in that presence, in that peace. And so many people are on just adrenal overload that they just really need to practice it. And it can really completely change their whole body and their health.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a huge impact to your health, when you're in constant stress. And I think that's what I didn't realize before Heartmath is I was in constant stress and I didn't realize it. So it really helped me to shift my stress level to a more coherent state and increase my peace and harmony in my life.
Yeah, it's amazing. And again, anyone, please raise your hand if you wish to have your mic unmuted to make a comment or ask any questions. One of the things that, there's no question as you do this more often that you definitely increase your baseline of emotional state. Now, the other thing that, Rebecca would, recognize here too, you're actually then purifying your space more. Okay, with the other negativities that have built up within your dynamics of your body, your, whether you want to say your physical body, your auric body, or whatever else. And you're actually then increasing your electromagnetic field around you. So you're less reactive also because your heart and your light is more expanded. So you're going to be less reactive from that place as well versus compacted because there's no question your energetic field, as you get more heart cohesion, your energetic field gets bigger, right? So you're able to handle the stress levels better. So it's really, something for us to work on. And, one of the things that, you mentioned up front about heart intelligence also was that we need, heart intelligence kind of recognizing what the heart is saying, but so many times the mental, emotional states get in the way. And, people say, what do you need to do? Well, you need to build this muscle. You need to just do these little practices throughout the day. And so, and that's the main thing. And a lot of times I think, we get off the track that, I can't do that. It's like, well, you can just do it. Right. I mean, we're talking about a minute or two here. We're not talking about, hours of doing it. And I think that's the other thing. So is that really the thing that we just need to consistently, just kind of like set a timer and practice, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The more you can practice, I mean, I'll tell my clients, if you go to the bathroom, do it while you're going to the bathroom, or every time you go to get a drink of water, or something that you do regularly throughout the day, just really focusing on that heart, taking a few deep breaths and just sensing whatever that feeling is that regenerative feeling. And to your point, like the more you practice it, it really creates a shift in your physiology of how you're feeling about yourself. And it helps to quiet that mind chatter because you're connecting with your heart. And then you can get that intuitive wisdom that's already within you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Another thing comes up, Tricia, that, as people can do this, and I don't, mean to get it totally out of the heart, but when you're doing with the heart, going to that still point, we could always then connect the center of the brain, the pineal, and breathe from that place too, right? And make that even more cohesive. So you become even more intuitive and connected that way. That'd be pretty special too.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a variety of ways that you can utilize Heartmath and just connecting with your heart. In my coaching program, I also help people identify what drains them. And we've got some tools that we use to identify what's draining them on a regular basis. Because sometimes you're so entrenched in your baseline that you don't even see it. And then starting to recognize when you become irritable or anxious or impatient, really just tracking that and then having conversations around it. And then we work on what renews you, to your point, right? Like, what renews you? Is it meditation? Is it whatever it is? Maybe it's exercise. Maybe it's reading a book. Whatever those moments are that renew you. Heartmath talks about it kind of like a battery. I like to use the term, I like to use the analogy of a car, just because I've been in the car business. It's like when you're driving, and I'm an aggressive driver, so I'm always on and off the gas. And so when you're on and off the gas, you know what it does to your miles per gallon. It just destroys it, right? But when you can take a step back and you can remain calm and you just lean on the gas a little bit, less and not as frequently, you can have greater miles per gallon. You can renew your energy. You can go further on your battery, on your gas that you have within the tank. So just paying attention to these different ways of what drains you and what renews you, and then keeping that front of mind so that you can really pay more attention, have some awareness on having that inner intuition and coherence.
Exactly. And one of the other things that you mentioned I thought was so good is the synchronicities in life. I mean, again, people want more magic, synchronicities in life. Hello, connect with your heart more, right? And do these little exercises. I mean, we're always, so we need more magic. Well, let's do these little techniques. I mean, again, one of the things, to create a habit, like I love using with my people is, well, set a schedule for 21 days. You do it for 21 days. It's going to be ingrained in you that you're going to want to do this more and more, right? So hopefully, this is reaching some people to where they hear this and they'll start doing it, because we want to change the world. Well, it starts right here, right?
Yeah. And I love the radiating love outward. I've noticed, and I've heard this even from other practitioners, Heartmath practitioners, is when you're in a meeting, even on Zoom, I've noticed this on Zoom, when you're in a group full of people, when you can connect with your heart, let's say it's getting, the conversation's not going the direction you want, by just really stopping and connecting and focusing in on your heart and radiating that out to the people on the call, I've noticed differences. Like, people start calming down and the conversation shifts. So I love the fact that you can actually have an influence on those around you just by connecting with your heart and radiating that out.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point here too, which I've mentioned, Rebecca, a few times, where people, say, well, send love. Well, a lot of times we do that mentally and energetically, which can be, kind of irritating. But if you do what you said, by first getting to your heart and radiating from that place, it is more genuine, right? And it's not irritating to other people because it's genuine, right?
Yeah.
So I love that technique much better.
Yeah, me too.
I was
Awesome.
gonna piggyback on the synchronicities. Of course, we're in sync, because I was just thinking synchronicities when Robert was saying that, and I'm like, oh, he's talking about it. But so just like this morning, it's interesting. Like, I was, a lot of times, like when you're just like waking up and you're just calm, things pop in, and that's kind of how I know it's not a logical thought, but it's just like a random pop in. And that's what I would consider my intuition. And so it popped in to connect with a friend of mine. So we're in Whitefish right now. We're on our 5.5-week road trip, and we're connecting in Whitefish, Montana. And we're going to go see Tricia in Sedona in about a week, because we're here going to Mount Shasta in a week. But I had forgotten I had a friend who lives in Whitefish part of the time. So I've got to call her. Or I texted her, and we ended up having this wonderful text conversation. And I think one of our attendees is her son and daughter-in-law. She's like, because I told her about our website, RebeccaandRobert.net. And then they got on, and if you guys want to chime in, Marcella and Doug, but it's like, oh, I think that my son and daughter-in-law would be really into it. We're going to sign up for your Heartmath. So they did. But I had forgotten about this, and then all of a sudden it just came in. I'm like, oh, I need to act on that because I know that was from a higher part of me. It wasn't just a logical thing. Oh, what do I need to do? It's just like a pop in. I'm like, so we Robert and I really try to act on all those pop in kind of, because it really is coming from a place that's like a higher knowing. And it can really guide you so much. And I always try to say, we don't try to, even though I like to plan ahead some, but don't plan ahead all the time, because we're really looking to do the next right thing, because the universe is really guiding us into, if we're just listening. And these tips that you provided are a wonderful way to connect in to the intuition. I don't know if Doug and Marcella, if you want to unmute and comment, but or if anybody wants to talk about their other synchronicities, I'd love to open up the mic.
Well, we definitely have a hand raised here by Linda, so I'm going to go ahead and allow Linda to talk. So hopefully, let's see, I'll try to unmute you here. So unmute yourself, Linda, if you can.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. I just wanted to say, Robert.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember me from.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah, great to see you.
Yes.
What you just said about, now my brain just clicked off. When we were sending it, how that irritates people just clicked in me. It just shifted so much because I kind of get it now. And so, and even say if I'm doing like a distance healing or something like that, would this be something just to do before the session? Or
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you're going to be doing long distance healing, really doing that heart lock-in where you're connecting and focusing on your own heart and breathing deeper, and then radiating that out specifically to that person, right? Like genuinely connecting and radiating out. And I love that Robert brought that up instead of thinking it, right? Because the electromagnetic field of the heart is 100 times stronger than the brain. So it can radiate out at such long distances in such a wonderful way. So I love that. I love the connection that you've made with that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, because I've always, when I'm in a really high vibrational state, just naturally, like and happy and joyful, and I've seemed to get smacked down by my family and people. And I'm thinking perhaps integrating this with it instead of being defensive would change a lot. So thank you. I appreciate it. It's great.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad, and I love to hear how it goes for you the first time that you do that, when you recognize it and notice it and really focus. And how do you respond differently, and how do you feel? Like, how do you feel when you do that differently? So I'd love to hear that.
Well, I'm able to just, like, I took my cat to the vet, and I'm able to do that when I'm out in public, like around, like at the vet and everything, and I could feel it, and I could sense the shift in people, and it feels beautiful. It was just wonderful there. Everything was wonderful. And then with my family, I guess there's a whole different story to it. And so that's my own stuff, I imagine, but I'll try this with my family and see what shifts. So thank you. Yeah, it's great.
Very welcome.
Nice hearing from you, Linda.
You too. Thank you so much.
All right. Anyone else like to make some comments? Love to hear from you. Just raise your hand.
I think it's fun to just play with it at different times and in different places to see how it feels in different circumstances. I know for me, like even this morning, I wasn't feeling good. I think I had a touch of food poisoning or something. And I just was like, I'm going to just rest. I'm going to just take some time and rest and connect with my heart and just allow myself some self-care. And when you do that, when you do those things and really take time for yourself, it can rejuvenate you in such a shorter amount of time than to just keep pushing forward, right? And then just take those moments for just your own personal health and well-being.
While we're waiting for
Absolutely.
other comments, I just wanted to mention, given what's going on in the world, there's so much out there that people are being pitted against each other. There's people who, are connected in with the news and who are connected in more with, other sources of information. And without connecting into your heart, if you're just getting mental, you are really going to be subject to any propaganda that's out there or group think. And it's easy to go along with it because there's so much out there with, well, everybody else thinks that, and you're tempted to go along, even though at some point, if you just took that breath and connected into your heart, that doesn't feel right to you, or that's not what your role is in the world. It might be somebody else's, but everybody has their unique role in what we're doing here. And just because that's right for somebody else, it may not be right for you. And without connecting to your heart, that group think can really take a life of its own, and it really may suck you down a path that you really weren't supposed to go down.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Rebecca. It is so true, right? And I think a lot of us get really sucked into the news. I know that even for me, when I start reading headlines and I start getting wound up, right, with fear or anxiety, I do have to intentionally focus. And then to your point, what is mine to do? Is this mine to do? Is this something I need to care about? Is this something, or can I just, radiate out love to those people who are in fear and anxiety? And maybe that's what's mine to do.
Well, there's no question, all of us can do more radiating love through our hearts, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and Heartmath does do a global coherence on their app. So they have calls at different times throughout the globe to bring people together to do those heart-focused techniques to radiate love on a global scale. So they're still trying to build that out, but they're doing these calls on a regular basis now. Or they'll just email, send you a message to say, okay, get on your app and really just send out some global coherence, right? And radiating that out. So Heartmath is really trying to bring about the message so that people are more familiar with it and can take those kinds of actions.
That's lovely. All right, we do have Marcella ready to talk, or whomever's on that other side. So talking is permitted here if you just unmute yourself.
So this is Doug Hoffman. I'm Marcella's husband, and I wanted to say hi, Robert, Tricia, and Rebecca, and everyone here listening. Marcella and I, we just got married on Saturday, and we invited our families, which consisted of her immediate family, my immediate family, and my immediate family is a little on the smaller side. I only have one true cousin. And so a lot of the family that came from my side was brought in from friends of my parents that sort of acted as, I would say, aunts and uncles throughout the majority of my upbringing. And they're people that attended my sister and her husband's wedding 10 years ago. And when we had that experience with them, we just had felt so much love, and it stayed with us, and it helped us really maintain these connections. I would say even to a higher degree over the last 10 years. And we wanted to recreate that experience for our wedding. So it's interesting because they're looking around and kind of wondering where are your friends you went to school with and stuff like that, which we did have one, but the majority of the folks there were our parents' ages, and the same feeling was there. It was amazing, the feeling of love that we were greeted with. And I've had some experiences before within the last few years as I've tried to break away from a darker part of my life, where I the best way I could put it is I felt completely filled with bliss, with my heart open, and I would start experiencing new things that I'd never experienced, such as something that would maybe irritate me, like just going to the store and running through the grocery store and I feel like someone's staring at me, or I'm having a difficult time with the cashier or whatever. And I just thought, what if I take this feeling and look at everyone through this feeling rather than all the prejudgments that I have, as I started to realize I'm probably getting a mirror back of the feelings that I'm putting out. And I think I could really start to notice that intensify over the last few years, because we just had a child. He's a year and a half. And gosh, I mean, he is like an energy meter. It's ridiculous. Everything we give, he gives back. And what I was curious about is, in the experience that I had about a year ago when this happened, say just going to the grocery store, and I'm radiating this feeling of love, and then I'm feeling it back from strangers as though we're just looking at each other as energy sources back to one another without any form of judgment. That feeling, I kept saying to myself, I hope this doesn't go away. I hope this doesn't go away. And it didn't necessarily go away, but I did feel that it dimmed down a bit as the weeks went on. And then I felt it back huge while we've been here for our wedding. And so I'm just in the same place where I'm like, okay, a wedding's over. We're going home on Saturday from Whitefish back to Vermont where we live. And I want to keep this feeling. And I want it to even grow, because I've noticed when I have it, I can help others more. And it makes life feel better.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that you recognizing it is huge. That, when you focus in on your heart, and you can radiate that out, it has a greater impact in the people that you're around. And it's normal for all of us to just kind of have an event and then we get back into our daily grind, right? And that's the old baseline shift that we're going into. So having that awareness of, hey, I can keep this feeling. All I have to do is focus within myself and continue to radiate that out. You'll sustain that over time more frequently.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Doug, and look forward to meeting you guys in person tomorrow.
Likewise.
Yeah. The other thing Robert and I talk about often is just the different locations, and especially cities, have a different, denser, often more stressful energy. So where you are can have such an effect on your energy field, because the population, just the frequencies that are in certain areas. And we've been traveling here for 2 weeks, and we can feel a difference in every place we go. And we're lucky that Whitefish has such a great vibe, and the mountains have such a great vibe. But you have to try a little bit harder. When you're in a city, you can just really feel the difference. And it's so important, especially in those places, to really radiate some love out of your heart, because they really need it. So it is different everywhere you go.
Yeah, and Doug, I'd love to add the fact that, appreciate you doing that. And as you're doing that, of course, it's hard nowadays to keep our energy fields completely clear and our own consciousness, right? So there's many things that open up that we have to consistently work with, right, to get back to that set point, if you want to say. So my, sensing what's going on with you is just got to work with clearing the energies a little bit more and get back to that set point, whatever's going on, and reset and start over again in some ways. And there's different techniques for that goes beyond what we're talking about here today, but keep doing what you're doing, because you're helping immensely.
Thank you. We will. For sure.
Are there any other questions, comments? All right. Well, I guess we will close for now. Thank you so much, Tricia, for sharing. I love the conversation with everybody at the end as well. So everybody just keep the vibe high. It's going to be an interesting time in the world. It already is. And we all just need to do everything we can just to radiate out as much love and get people through whatever's happening. So blessings to everybody, and we hope to see you again. Check us out on RebeccaandRobert.net if you want to see our personal journey and check out our blogs and photos and everything from our 5.5-week trip. And also check out RaisingTheVibe.org or connect in also with Tricia. She's put her information in the chat if you'd like to have a session with her. She also does other types of consulting. So thank you, everyone, and hope to see you again.